From day one, we are told who we should be, how to live, and what's acceptable. Before we even have a chance to discover ourselves, our society has already drawn those lines for us. But what happens when those lines are keeping us from knowing and embracing who we truly are? Welcome to Unbox Yourself with Samantha Fox, a podcast about unpacking and unlearning everything that's kept you from living as your true self. Through honest conversations about your internal emotional landscape, sexuality, coming out later in life, relationships, and the journey to self-acceptance, we break free from the boxes we never chose. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unbox Yourself with Samantha Fox. Today, I have on Samantha Fox as my guest. I am here just doing a solo podcast today. It's been quite some time since I've been alone with my own thoughts, but that is what is happening here today. And I wanted to share just a little bit of something that brings me some curiosity. If that resonates with you, maybe you can drop me an email and let me know what you think on this topic. But this particular topic started, I would say intensely started the other day when I was walking down the street with my daughter. And she stops and turns to me and says, "Oh my God, Mom, I have to tell you a story. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot to tell you this." And she proceeds to tell me a story about a friend of hers who I'm just going to call Sarah for this episode. My daughter's been living overseas, so she hasn't seen this particular friend in probably at least a year. So she went to visit this friend the other night, and they spent some time together. And the recollection of the story was prompted by me asking if Sarah was dating anybody. And my daughter said, yes, she's dating a man and he has a pit bull. And then she said, "Oh my God, Mom, I have to tell you this story. You're not going to believe it." She proceeds to tell me that this friend of hers, Sarah, had been on Facebook dating and on Facebook Friends, which I guess are two different platforms all related to Facebook, where you can either make new friends or you can also date people. So this friend, Sarah, was on both. And on Facebook Friends, she connected to a woman who was local and seemed very cool. And so they made a plan. The woman asked Sarah if she was interested in going to a gallery in the city, in New York City, and out for some drinks afterwards. And Sarah thought this woman looked really cool and was looking for more women to hang out with. So she said yes. And they made a plan. They made a date. And Sarah was looking after she made the plan and noticing that they had a couple of friends in common. And so she reached out to one of her friends that also knew this woman that she made a plan with and told her, "I met, whatever this woman's name is, and we're going to go out to a gallery and go out for drinks. Is there anything I should know about her?" And the woman, the common friend, said, "Well, she's gay." And she said, "Oh my God, she's gay. Like, I did not know that." "Okay, well, I'm still going to go. She still seems cool. I'm going to go out with her." So Sarah goes out with this woman. They meet up. Sarah's wearing stiletto heels, and they are in some part of the city where there's cobblestone streets. So the flooring is very uneven as she's walking in the street after they went and had drinks, after they went to the gallery, and Sarah starts to stumble and fall down. And this woman grabs her by her back pocket of her pants and pulls her up and just goes in for the kiss. And they have a big makeout in the street. And when they stop making out, the woman says to her, "Do you want to come back to my place?" And Sarah says, "Sure." She's had a few drinks. She's thinking, "I've never been with a woman before. I'm going to check this out." This friend of my daughter's is in her late 20s. So she goes back to this woman's apartment. And as my daughter is telling me this story, she says to me, she describes it this way. She says, and then when they get back to her apartment, she pulls out the strap-on. And then she straps her mom. She totally straps her. And I am laughing hearing my daughter is very straight, telling me this story. And my daughter thought it was hilarious. the whole story, that her friend just was kind of going with the flow of all of this. And then her friend, Sarah, said to my daughter, I wondered maybe if I was bisexual, but I don't think so. I don't think I'm bisexual after that night. I'm not feeling it. I think I still really like men. And that was the story. And so I kind of laughed because the idea that just having a romp with a random woman that you meet on an app could tell you definitively whether or not you're bisexual or straight. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. For me, no, because I am demisexual and I definitely need to have some kind of a connection with somebody in order to even feel comfortable being sexually intimate with them. But what was interesting for me about this was how just the sexual act of being with a woman becomes so amplified in terms of our wanting to know what is really true for us. So I work with so many women out there who feel they need to have some kind of a sensual experience with a woman to really know that this is what they're feeling. And then I've also worked with many women who do not need that experience. They know they're feeling it. They've had crushes, they're fantasizing, they've always had these feelings. And even though they have not had an experience, they also are not in any doubt about their sexuality. They know that they are queer or bisexual. So I find it really interesting how for some women, sex becomes the answer. And I get it. It's part of it, right? You want to be able to be a full human. You want to be able to explore all parts of yourself with another person. And so being sensual is a part of that. So I understand why it's important to know if you could be comfortable being sexual or sensual with a woman. But I also just want to say there's this idea of just like a woman that's very faceless and feels to me like it's very much coming from the male gaze and the way men see just a faceless woman that they can, basically jump on, have sex with, and be done. And whatever that does for them, for a man, I don't know many women that does something for. Now, I'm not going to say that that's all women either. I'm sure that I just don't know them, but I am sure that there are women that get something from just a random romp with a random woman that just has woman parts and they just love grinding on all the woman parts. And that is satisfactory for them and gives them the thrill that they want and they need. I just want to say, to me, it does feel like a very misogynistic and male-oriented way of viewing women. That women are basically sex toys and they are something to get off on or get off with, but they are not necessarily partner material. And that was what came up for me in Sarah's statement, where she said, I don't think I'm bisexual. I think I really like men. And this was from just a romp one night with a random woman, let alone with a strap on, which not everybody loves. I mean, maybe straight women or bisexual women really love strap-ons. I can't say I'm a huge fan of a strap-on, but everybody has their own tastes and flavors, so I'm not going to comment further on that. But this idea that being bisexual means that you also want to be sexual with a woman. And I hear it, bisexual. So That's what it's looking at. It's looking at, I'm sexual with two genders, right? But I just want to say, for me, again, email me, please fill me in on how you feel about this. But for me, there is so much more to a human than just their sensuality and their sexuality. And I'm not saying that that is unimportant, because it is important. That is certainly an important element of wanting to be with somebody, is feeling attracted in those ways. And by the way, I hear from many, many women who don't have those feelings for their male partners, but they have a lot of other feelings for their male partners. So I get stuck on this piece of, what is it about the sexual piece with a woman that becomes so important? And I really get stuck on it. And, what is it about, let's say, being bisexual that is only about being sexual with other women, when women have so much more to offer as a whole than just their parts, their woman parts, their sensuality and their sexuality. And that is all important. Like I said, it's beautiful. And there's also a lot more to a woman than that. And what they are capable of engaging in, whether it's deep conversation or emotionally resonating or intuition or empathy or caring, or just softness, kindness. I mean, there are just so many ways that women have value outside of just being a sexual pleasure object. So I felt a little bit sad when I heard Sarah's response to her night of getting strapped by another woman, because I felt like she was missing out on all of the most beautiful parts of being with a woman. And, one of those pieces is the friendship piece, a deep understanding and knowing, and, like really, really understanding how another woman feels, because she also was raised in this society where women are taught that their value is basically in sacrificing themselves and giving up who they are to take care of everybody else and to be kind to everybody else. And that got me also thinking about, and I'm sure I've said this before here, but, one of the statements I grew up with that my mom used to say to me was, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. So basically, if I am angry or upset or mad or, frustrated or whatever it is, I need to just keep my mouth shut. And as I've been working with clients lately who are going through my Unbox Your Sexuality program one-on-one with me, I've started working with people one-on-one as they're going through the program. I've realized that this statement that my mom told me is so pervasive. Different words were used, but the same message was used so far and wide to women who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s. Just be kind. And if you're not kind, if you're not going to be kind, don't say anything. Don't upset other people. Don't be difficult, right? And I have clients who have gotten themselves into some pretty difficult and life-altering circumstances because they were taught that they could not use their voice to say, no, I don't want this. No, I'm not doing this with you. And instead, they learn to live a life of being just pleasing to everybody else, and also feeling a lot of anger and resentment and disconnection on the inside. And I hear this again and again from so many women, and it's all in this deep conditioning. And so I go back to this idea of being bisexual. I think in its most expansive state, it means being able to really fully love, two genders, right? And in all of the ways, friendship, spiritually, intellectually, sexually. And then I also meet women who are just dying to have the sexual experience with a woman. And I just want to say, the sexual experience with a woman it's hands down unbelievable when you are connected with someone or when you are attracted to someone, right? It is amazing. But it is amazing because the attraction is not just through the male gaze. It's not just about the woman with the beautiful, perfect breasts that are perky and, the perfect body that would be based in our misogynistic society on like what a Barbie doll looks like. No, it's not that. It's about the beauty of a woman and what women represent. Women are like, they are like the goddesses. They are the, I believe, truly superior beings that, reproduce and have deep intuition and are available to connect emotionally and intimately in ways that men have a really hard time with. And granted, a lot of that is based in our hetero patriarchal societal conditioning and men learning to not do that and that that's not okay. But even men that are less strongly conditioned or able to somehow escape that conditioning they don't have the same qualities that a woman has. And I don't mean to be so binary about the genders, because in a certain world, none of us would have any gender and we would love whoever we love. And none of that would be particularly important. But that's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is living in the society we live in. And bisexual women wanting sexual experiences with women while they also are partnered with a man. And what they're looking for is just that sexual play, which again, valid, nothing wrong with. And you're missing out on so much more of what a woman has to offer. And so that was what my conversation with my daughter left me with was, wow, Sarah just canceled out her bisexuality with one night where she was drunk and met a stranger and got strapped and decided she's not bisexual. Based on that, that is not enough information. The fact that she went through with it, the fact that she met this woman, even though she knew she was gay and made out with her and decided to go home with her, says she was curious and she was open. Not all women are curious and open, but she was. And it's okay that she doesn't identify as bisexual, but don't base it on one night with a stranger. Give yourself a little bit more space around what your bisexuality could mean. So for any of you out there that are looking at women in just a sexual way, I want to really encourage you to see the attractiveness of women in general, the qualities of a woman in general that are earth-shattering and gorgeous beyond gorgeous, right? Women are so spectacular. not because they look like the male gaze wants them to look, not because they give up everything of themselves and sacrifice their lives and their wants and their wishes to take care of everybody else, because otherwise they don't think they have value or worth. That is what they were conditioned to be, but that is not the natural state of being fully woman, which is goddess state and witch state and power state. So that is my episode for today. I am curious. Think about it. Invite yourself to open up on this topic and really think about it. What is your view of a woman, and what is it that you are desiring in a woman? And is it just coming from the male gaze and from misogyny? Or are you wanting a woman because you can see all of the qualities that are so very attractive, and those include sensuality? I'm curious. Drop me an email, Samantha@unboxyoursexuality.com. And for those of you that have been holding out on joining the Bi Life, we're just about to enter into our next phase for another 3 months. The doors are opening on October 1st. If you would like to join an active community of women in all stages of questioning, coming out, already out, questioning if they're actually not bisexual but gay, and all supporting one another as we meet live twice a month, and also support one another on our Bi Life community private feed. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you for spending this time with me on Unbox Yourself with Samantha Fox. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps more folks find these conversations. If you're ready to unbox from something that's keeping you stuck, I would love to support you. You can find the application to the show at unboxyoursexuality.com. Let's stay connected. Find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Lesbian Curiosity Coach. Give me a follow and join the conversation. Remember, we only have this one time through. Why not unbox yourself and let your true self shine in all its beautiful glory?